caltrop is an area denial weapon designed to stop the enemy. The caltrop is a sturdy, simple, yet effective weapon no matter its position. Its purpose was originally designed to stop elephant and donkey attacks. It graduated to stopping tanks. And now, the caltrop is your defense against propaganda, polished lies, and manufactured outrage. It's free from counterfeit credibility and synthetic truth. However, inside the walls of the caltrop, you're going to be forced to think. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Mike Calderese is the caltrop. Good evening and welcome to the Caltrop. I am your host, Michael Calderese, coming at you from my we call this the karate room back in the day, but I'm coming at you from the karate room again. I have more interviews coming up, so this is probably going to be the site for the next couple of days. Newsflash, real quick, I am not going to be doing the show on Wednesday. Wednesday's show is going to be replaced by, I think I'm going to go live at a local town called Manchester's zoning board. They have a really big hearing that's going on. I made a video of it. I don't know, it's easily the biggest grossing, I guess you could call it, video that I have made on Facebook. I think we're approaching 30,000 views on the Facebook alone. I believe we're over 10,000 on TikTok. I mean, it's amazing the response that this local that the local stuff that I do, really, it's unbelievable the response that you get from people. And I'm telling you guys, local is the way. You have to get involved locally. And the more I get involved, the more amazing it is. And the people that are coming to me now and telling me stories. And, you know, the thing is, like, people are telling me now, like, Mike, we're relying on you. It's like, whoa, shit. I don't know how I got into the, hey, you're relying on me thing. But what I can promise you is I'm going to deliver you what's going on in your town. And it's up to you guys, really. And up to you in the nationwide to do what you got to do with it. But we have an excellent show. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. YouTube, Facebook, Rumble. Do me a favor. Take that finger the hell out of my like button early and often. If you turn it on, turn it back off, then turn it back on again. Just make sure you leave it turned on. I don't care how many times you hit it. Like and share. Listen, sharing is what made that one video go, as far as it actually did. 97% of the people that saw that were not part of my friend group. And it's all because of people sharing it outside the friend group. So it's a very, very, very powerful for people like us. So if you do believe in what I'm doing, go ahead and share that button. But listen, we have an awesome show. Like I've said, we have Trump. We have a lot of things that are going on overseas. And the person that is the best, period, to talk about this is Captain Adam Dorito. We have Captain Adam Dorito till about 8:30 today. So I'm going to do a quick monologue. Then we're going to get Captain Adam Dorito on. And then we have a lot. I mean, we have a lot to choose from. As far as what's going on in the world. We have some very interesting conversations. One about with Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson about evolution. We have a lot on the docket if we get to it, but we're going to see where it takes us with Captain Dorito. But let's get the show started with the mics right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Trump is back in the headlines, and not once again for his hair. That fucking defies the law of physics, but he's talking about taking over DC Police Department and taking over all of DC and sending in the National Guard. And honestly, for DC, I'm fine with it. Our nation's capital should not look like an episode of The Walking Dead, except instead of zombies, it's criminals with better sneakers and face masks. This is the capital of the United States of America. It should be a shining, safe, impressive beacon for the world. Not a place where you need a stab-proof vest to grab a coffee. And some of these criminals really know how to keister, if you know what I'm talking about. Now, here's where I pumped the brakes, though, because he's also talking about going into places like Chicago and other cities. Look, Chicago is an absolute mess. It's a hellhole. Shootings every single week. Kids dying. No one cares about those lives, but I digress. But it's like someone dropped a crime bomb in Chicago and then just kept reloading it every single weekend, and we see it. But is it the federal government's job to go in there and run it? I don't think so. I mean, I'll always speak out against federal overreach no matter who's in charge, Trump or whoever. Because here's the thing that gets me. We all feel good about this. But if we just let the feds just roll in anywhere they want, whenever they feel like it, then what's going to stop some future president from doing the same thing for a completely different reason? Cue the next maniac leftist president. You don't like abortion laws in Texas? All right, take over Texas. Don't like Florida's education system? All right, take it over. Don't like Chris Christie on the beach? All right, take his beach chair. That one I'll accept. Also, an outright ban on him ever wearing baseball pants again. But still, this type of stuff is how you slide into authoritarianism. Couldn't say that one. And the scary part, half the country will cheer for it until it's their turn to get taken over. The federal government should be extremely, extremely limited, in my opinion. That's the whole point of America. Almost every issue should be handled locally. Fix your own messes that you create. If your mayor sucks, vote better. If your city's a war zone, that's on you. The feds shouldn't be like the smoke alarm going off when there's only going off when there's a real fire, not every time someone burns toast. Maybe, and this is just a thought, stop burning everything. And speaking of fires, Trump and Putin are apparently going to have a summit in Alaska. Yeah, that's going to be really fun. The two egos in the frozen tundra. They say it's a step towards peace. And I'll give credit where credit's due. At least it's a conversation. But let's be real. I'm not sure if anyone outside Trump is actually interested in peace. Ukraine's been hanging on for years now. Russia still hasn't flattened them. And yet I'm supposed to still be terrified of Putin like he's a Bond villain. I mean, yes, Russia's dangerous. But this idea that there's somehow an unstoppable superpower, I'm not buying it. I mean, if you've been fighting a country the size of Texas for this long and you still can't win, maybe you're not as scary as the media says you are. Who knows? And finally, my personal favorite, the federal marijuana changes. Trump weighs federal marijuana changes, and they want to reclassify weed. This is the part where the federal government reminds you that for years they have had absolutely no idea what their job is. And Trump is hopefully changing that. They should not be making overall drug laws. No drug other than synthetic opioids should be federally banned. And weed, leave that to the states. If New Jersey wants to make it legal and put a dispensary on every street corner, fine. If South Carolina wants to ban it and keep pretending that sweet tea isn't a drug, then fine. I mean, we are 50 plus experiments. Hell, there's thousands of different experiments, really, in this beautiful thing we call America. And the more we let the federal government control every aspect of our life, the more the freedom dies. So let people live with laws that they voted for locally. If Chicago wants to be Gotham without Batman, it's their choice. Have fun. If Colorado wants to turn one giant fish into one giant fish concert, that's their choice as well. Best experiment wins. And the losers, well, you can learn the hard way. Vote better. So yeah, DC, fine, clean it up. It's our real capital. They have jurisdiction anywhere. But everywhere else, I don't know, man. I think you need to handle your own backyard before you invite Uncle Sam in to mow the lawn. Because once the feds show up, they never leave. But what do I know? I've only been right about many other things. That's the Mike's Right. Hope you listen. All right. So let's, without further ado, bring in my man, the man, the myth, the legend, the official captain, the Captain. More like, and dude, you spelled it like Cap'n Crunch. I love it. But Captain, Adam Dorito.
Because nothing I say represents the United States Army, the Department of Defense, and everything's of my own opinion, Mike. Always have to give that disclaimer now since it's official.
So do you come with crunch berries?
Yeah, for sure. Why not? You know, RFK's refined sugars all out of it now, so I guess it's fine. So
yeah, well, is that to me? I think that's going to mean that crunch berries leave because they don't have crunch berries in Canada.
You know what? I don't.
There's like a crunch berry embargo that we have. It's they tariff the crunch berries at 400%. We can't send any.
It's the Battle of Ticonderoga all over again.
Oh, it definitely is, man. So let me ask you a question. Let's start in America because I love going around the world with the Captain here. And while I bring up the chat, and all the different chats. Let's start kind of in DC. Where do you think I'm wrong? Where do you think I'm right?
I don't think you're wrong. I mean, I just got back from DC. I just had to spend a week out there trying to push the Dorito Act once more again. And thank you, Speaker Johnson, for completely screwing us, because we had sponsors. We had it going on the floor. We had it getting ready to pass finally after 7 years. And then he calls early recess 24 hours prior to the floor vote over the Epstein files. And I'm just like, I am so over this crap. I am so over these people where they get nothing done and they purposely try to placate to their constituents. And then now they're calling in, off recess in August here every 3 days to call it into session for 5 minutes to prevent any, recess appointments from being made. We still got over 100 people trying to get appointed to get things going. And there's a significant point of the Republican Party that is purposely working against Trump in order to stop that, because their methodology now is to wait him out 2 more years and then we can continue on as business as normal. And I'm not for it. And that's why you're seeing a lot of these things that Trump is doing now. He's like, all right, screw this. We're just going to start actioning things by using home rule. Now, to be fair, you make an interesting point, about DC. The only reason he can do that in DC is because of home rule. That is a very specific law. Like, for example, Weld County, where I live, has home rule as well. So the sheriff's department can kind of do whatever they want, not listen to the gun laws or reinforce 30, round mag bans and stuff like that. But for example, in Chicago, you can't do that. There's no home rule ban in Chicago or home rule exclusion to that. So, DC is a problem. I've been there so many times this year. There's definitely a lot of theft. There's definitely a lot of, beatings and stuff. So, yeah, you're right. I think we need to fix up our capital. We need to move the criminals out. I don't necessarily know what you're going to do with the homeless, though. You just, move them off to Maryland or something. I don't really know how that's going to work out.
I don't see why you don't just take them, bus them over to San Francisco. I mean, they seem to want them so much.
That's literally a South Park episode.
I think it's good, right? Oh,
it's literally a South Park episode. They put him in a bus and then they bus him all to California, which is funny. But I mean, it's time. I mean, to be honest, I'd like to see something happen in Chicago, because I mean, it's literally Iraq out there, though. They call it Chirac. That's the joke. Because I mean, in order to even put that place under stability, you would need an actual military occupying force. That's how bad it is in Chicago. But it's their fight, if they like to live in that area and they like to induce all this crime and they want to get shot in the face and have kids do drugs, that's on you. You know what I mean? But no, I agree with you. Authoritarianism and overreach with the federal government should not be a thing. But in terms of the nation's capital, I think it's time to clean it up and represent what this place stands for. And if the local DC mayor isn't going to do anything about it, which is like you've been given the option to and you don't want to, then someone has to do it. So.
I hear you. Let's move on to the cartels. This is what Trump had to say.
We're talking about sending military forces to fight against the drug cartels in Latin America. Do you think it's worth sending our forces, our U.S. forces there to take this on?
Cartels where?
Central Latin America.
Well, Latin America's got a lot of cartels. They've got a lot of drugs flowing. So, we want to protect our country. We have to protect our country. We haven't been doing it for 4 years. And we love this country like they love their countries. We have to protect our country. So, we're playing a tough game.
So what do you think about that, bud? And I have one more to show you about Hegseth. Let me play this one about Hegseth as well. And
Sure.
Just weigh on all of this, because they're calling him now the Secretary of War with this type of stuff. Listen here. And he kind of seems like he likes this title.
Secretary of Defense, Secretary of War, Department of Defense, Department of War.
Well, that's what it was for many, many years. You gave me that knife hand, Will. We'll see. Stand by. I don't get in front of the commander-in-chief on that. But our job is to ensure our enemies know exactly what they will do to them if they threaten us, up to and including total war. So we'll be prepared. Stand by. There might be some news on that.
Did you see that Dr. Grinch or the Grinch smile that he had? He was like,
I mean, to be fair, it was the Department of War and it was the Secretary of War at a point in time in our country, and we changed it. You got to do the Marine knife hand thing. I mean, he's Army, so I don't know where he's getting that from. I mean, you think he's General Mattis now or something? But it would be interesting if they change the title back. It's kind of fun. If you want to go back to a historic context. But you got to understand something. One, you can't just willingly invade a foreign country and start blowing up cartels with drones and stuff. It would be funny. It would be hilarious, but you can't do that. I'm not necessarily opposed to, doing a 20-mile buffer, outside the border or things like that. Like I said, it gives a lot of our tier 1 guys a lot of good training. But I think we learned this lesson when we tried this in the 80s. The wars against the cartels did not go very well. And we had full-blown CIA, all these guys down there with helicopters and killing guys and going after Pablo Escobar. And it didn't work out necessarily, because the problem is that these cartels take care of their people. And that's like the Medellin cartels and everything else, is that they pay these people a lot of money. They give them housing. They pay for their schools. So these people don't want to work against the people that are providing them food, water, and electricity, which is the three things you need to do to collapse a civil war. Right. So and then pretty much say, you don't fuck with us, we don't fuck with you. We'll pay for your school, we'll pay for your weddings, we'll pay for your kids' quinceañeras, whatever else. You just let us move the drugs. You guys can work for us and no one's going to do anything. And that's the problem, is that the cartels have won most of the population's hearts and minds in that aspect. And the United States government's just going to go in and try to kill people. So who do you think they're going to work against? Most likely the U.S. government, right? So I think we need to stay behind our border, let them maintain their national sovereignty. But like I said, fuck around and find out. You want to come within that 20-mile buffer, let 160th SOAR and 75th Rangers, use it as target practice. But for the most part, these are also guys you don't really want to get into a fight with. They are very well trained. They're very well armed. And Obama gave them half the guns anyway. So.
Yeah, dude. I mean, listen, I think it's very clear that some of our leaders have done some very, very interesting things over the years. It seems like we've armed every single person that we've 30 years later went to war with. We gave nuclear information under, some interesting act of, it's really going to be peace through atoms, and we give everybody nuclear information, and then boom, everyone starts misusing the nuclear stuff. Well, we claim they are, and then we bomb the shit out of them with that. I mean, listen, it's very interesting that we are cleaning up the mess of years and years and years and years and years of bad policy. And Trump is, I think, stuck in the middle of trying to clean up the mess of Putin and all the other bullshit that he said he'd take a day to fix. But nobody believed that. I mean, let's face facts. We knew it was going to take more than a day to do this stuff. But let's move over to Russia, because there's a lot going on over there, bro. Mm-hmm. Number one, address what I said first before we get to Trump and Putin. How true is it that Russia is this dangerous, crazy superpower that I need to be deathly afraid of? Why haven't they been able to just completely go in and destroy the Ukraine?
Well, they could. They just choose not to. Just like we could obliterate any country we want, we choose not to. I will go back to the first podcast we had when I talked about this, is that Russia wants to maintain their spheres of influence just like we do. They just want to be left the fuck alone. We would never let anyone park nuclear weapons in Mexico or in Canada, and they don't want it either. I think it's a fair compromise. We should not be the policemen of the world. We should not dictate those things. The problem is that the eastern part, the Luhansk and Donetsk region, are ethnically Russians, and Ukraine used to belong to Russia a long time ago. But like I said, the biggest reason why Russia was trying to do this under the Biden administration, and when they got the go-ahead, is because they're trying to control that food source from Ukraine, because that goes to the port of Tartus and then down into the Middle East. And whoever controls the food source to the Middle East, controls global chain supply. That's the main objective. The problem is that they pulled out of Syria. Syria's collapsed, so they don't really have as much port access out there anymore. It's not really in their favor. They want to maintain, the oil and gas trades out there as well, because that's, and they want the warm port water access for their submarines down there, and they're losing that favor. But the problem is that they have reindustrialized completely for the most part. They are able to put out tanks every 2-3 days. We can't do that. And they've also completely changed how modern warfare is going to be fought in the future. They got lots of drones now. It's basically World War I with drones. They have changed how wars are going to be fought with, near peer adversaries for all eternity from now on. And the issue is that the reason why they're not going to completely destroy Ukraine or nuke them or whatever else is because they want that land. It's going to take 20 years now to clean that up and get the mines out and clean everything up as well. But they also don't, Putin, it's a pride thing for the so-called former USSR. They're not going to just give up and walk away. That would be an embarrassment for the entire country and the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that have died already in that country. So he's going to stand his ground. And the only reason why the war hasn't ended is because we keep, supplying weapons to Ukraine. That war would have been over in just a few weeks if we just stayed out of it. But, we need to save everybody. And, we have to have the special interest with the Burisma oil and gas and Hunter Biden and everything else, which we had discussed. Right. But the issue at this point is, he's not going to let you call his bluff. The Russians are very good at lying, and so are the Ukrainians. You're seeing that with Zelensky now. They can't even get enough conscripts. Their people are starting to turn against him. He's not having open and free elections anymore. And Putin has been able to keep the supplies going. The stores are still full of food. People still have jobs now, especially with the reindustrialization. They've partnered with China and India, and that's not good. China is actually our biggest threat, and so is Iran. But even everyone's, we're going to start World War III by bombing Iran's nuclear facilities. Yeah, guess what happened? Nothing. Just like I've said for months, right? Is that
for months
you can bomb the shit out of Iran. You know what they're going to do? Nothing. Because they know if they do anything, if they actually got invaded by any partner force or everything else, they're just going to get obliterated. So they learned a hard lesson, but then you go into the whole Israel argument where, Israel promised if you just take out the nuclear sites, then we promise we're going to, step back from this. And then they go in and bomb Lebanon and whatever else right afterwards. Right. So that's also a partnership that needs to be considered, is that, yes, Israel is our so-called best military ally in the region. And to be fair, they kind of keep them over there because everyone's just going to keep bombing Israel until they don't exist, right? But the issue with that is that if you keep supplying these people, they're never going to stop. They work on a massive ideology that you can't fathom here in the United States. The problem is people in the United States have it so good. We have clean water, we have electricity, and we have 2 oceans separating our country from everybody else. But if you lived over there, you'd have a much different perspective. And for people who've been there, you understand that, is that this has been going on for thousands of years. It's never going to end. This is how these people are. The Israelis' mindset is we need to wipe them all off the face of the earth, because if we don't, they're going to keep, coming back. And they do. That's just how it is. Do I agree with their tactics and how they're just, literally bombing kids and everything else? No, but unfortunately, war's not fair. If war was fair, war would never end, because each side has an equal opportunity of winning. That's not how it works, and people want to complain about that in the United States. Like, it's not fair. I'm like, you understand we did this too. Why do you think the state of Colorado exists? Everyone watch America Primeval on Netflix, okay? We went out there with the entire U.S. Army. We wiped everybody out and said, you either stay here where we tell you to go and shake hands and agree on it, or we're going to kill all of you. Nobody likes to talk about that, but that's how wars are won. That's how wars are won. It's like, hey, everyone out there who we gave reservations to, you're free to take your land back, but we have Apache helicopters and Abrams tanks now, so good luck, right? And just because it happened, 150, 200 years ago doesn't mean it didn't happen. And the problem is that these countries are way smaller with way less resources, right? So when you're talking about fighting these massive land battles, especially in like Ukraine and Russia and in Israel, this is just a reality of modern warfare, people. And war is not fair. War is horrible. I've had to experience it myself. I am not an advocate for war. I never want to see an American troop go fight for another country's independence if it doesn't directly benefit us, because I'm strictly an America First conservative, right? But this is how the rest of the world works, people. It really does. And how is Ukraine going to end? Exactly as I said it was going to. It's going to end exactly like Crimea or anything else. They are going to pull so many resources and critical infrastructure out of it that's going to turn the people against the president. And eventually the people are going to have to change their government and do whatever else. And that's like the same exact concept going back to Latin America with the cartels. We would never win a drug war in Latin America because they own the people down there. And unless you can flip that entire narrative, it's never going to happen. It's something we should just stay out of and take. We have enough problems going on in this country, and we should be spending all that time, money, and resources on here, protecting our people here in the United States, and let them hash it out the way they want to, as long as it's not affecting American interests.
So now we have this summit going on in Alaska with Trump and Putin.
Yep.
Do you think anything productive is going to come out of it? And then if you had to be a betting man and say, what is it going to take to actually solve this? Is it going to take Russia to keep Crimea, to keep certain areas of the Ukraine? Do you think Ukrainians will accept that? And do you think Russia will give back the land that they already taken?
Ooh, that's a hard question. I still think the way this is going to end is that Ukraine is going to have to give up the Donetsk and Luhansk region on the eastern side. That's it, though. But if we give Putin just a little bit more money or a little bit more land, he's going to keep going. Probably not. They don't necessarily have the resources to do that. I don't necessarily think that Putin is going to give up on that. That is kind of his standing point, is he wants that part of the USSR back into his, great idea of what the former USSR was. But like I said, war isn't fair. And if they have, my fist is the biggest, survival of the fittest. If that's what's going to happen, that's what's going to happen, right? There's going to have to be some acquiescence to that. And same thing with Crimea. Like, they're never going to give Crimea back to them either. Like, get over it. I don't know what to tell you. They took that as well. The only other way I could see
back. I agree with you.
Yeah, the only other way I can see this ending in a positive way is like each side has to benefit. right? So if Ukraine gets to maintain its national sovereignty by giving the ethnic Russian areas back to the Russian Federation, and then there's negotiated trade deals that breaks up the Sino-Russia alliance, right? That makes them more dependent on the U.S. versus China. In my opinion, that's the only way this is going to end. They are technically a world superpower. They do have nukes. They're not just going to be like, oh yeah, we're just going to do whatever the United States tells us to do. That's never going to happen, right? But you want to break up that trade alliance with China. Like I said, China is an actual threat. They want to destroy the entire United States and its culture, but they do it very slow with a 100-year plan, right? So if you can pull Russia away from China, like the enemy of the enemy is my friend. That's basically the concept here with Russia, right? They're not our friends, but if we can make them like China less and they want to work with us more on these things, that's the best case scenario. And then, like I said, Zelensky has to have elections. That entire government has to be revamped. You have to get the corruption out. And unless he's willing to do that, it's going to be hard, because even Putin has said that, well, you guys want to end this war, but we can't even negotiate with this guy. So you have to vote him out. And then Zelensky says, well, we're not having any elections while we're in a state of war. So that's a problem, right? I mean, that's just how these people think. So I think best case scenario, if anything comes out of it, is that there's a negotiated trade deal with the United States that reduces China's influence, and they come up with some kind of land trade agreement to give the ethnic Russian area back. That's what Russia wants. Are they going to get it? That's really going to be up to Zelensky. But I think that's the only way that this is going to end. Otherwise, like I said, Russia can keep doing this for another 50 years. They don't care, but Ukraine can't. So
yeah, exactly. I think they could definitely keep this up. I'm with you. I know we only have you for about another 4 or 5 minutes here. Let's make our way over to the Gaza Strip, right?
Yeah.
So you have Netanyahu talking about going in and occupying the Gaza Strip. Now, for years, I'm gonna ask you a little bit of a controversial question, I guess. But for years, people have been saying that the aim of Israel was to completely take the Gaza Strip for themselves. And everyone was like, no, we're not occupying. There's blah blah blah, and all that noise. But when you see them completely destroy it and level it, and now going to go in and completely occupy it, you see Donald Trump and Netanyahu kind of going back and forth with each other. Oh, people aren't starving. No, people are starving. Then you have the New York Times putting a picture of what they claim is of a starving kid, but the kid really had some type of disease. You hear all this stuff going on, and it's interesting trying to make heads or tails of all this stuff. So that's what I need. That's what I need you for. Help me sort some of this shit out.
The problem with it is Hamas is really good at propaganda. They're always going to appeal to the emotional human heartstrings of the event. Are there people starving there? Yeah, probably, because there's no active food source. But is Hamas trying to steal all the food that the U.S. and Israel is trying to let through the border at Rafah? That is also accurate, right? Like, it's kind of like that opening scene in Black Hawk Down, right? They roll the UN food trucks in there, and they're sitting up there with machine guns and gunning all the civilians down trying to grab the food. That is accurate. They even had an interview with Green Beret, who a lot of people have come out and tried to say it's disinformation. But, from guys on the ground, yeah, that, like I said, this is war. It's not fair. And the best way to get people to work with you is to make the population turn against you. I do not agree that Israel should be occupying Gaza, because that's never going to work out in anybody's favor, right? It's going to be seen as bias. I think, honestly, the UN, how worthless it is, need to go in there as a joint force and do this. This is literally the mission of the UN. Are we going to fund most of it? Yeah, because that's what the U.S. does. But also, it gives it a more neutral interagency perspective on how to handle this. The UN should be going in there and setting up established corridors and allowing Gaza to be cleaned up and demined and everything else. That's going to take years and billions of dollars, right? Is Israel going to allow that? I don't know. But if they keep recapitulating the same exact thing they've done for years, we're going to repeat this process another 5 to 10 years, right? They're going to go in, they're going to clean it up, they're going to rebuild it, they're going to put some mud huts together, they're going to have some basic human services, and then there's going to be another terrorist attack, because these people are going to be, once again, desperate for food, water, and electricity. And when people get desperate for food, water, and electricity, what do? Perform terrorist acts to get it, right? So honestly, I think the Israelis people, as much as, a lot of people in the U.S. want to support them, and even me, like, I don't wish bad for the Israelis, but you need to take a hard look at the Israeli government. Like, there's a difference between, the Jewish people and the Israeli government. I think that needs to be made very clear, right? There is even most Israelis themselves don't agree with what Netanyahu is doing. I think the Israeli people need to replace their government, put in people that are going to make moral and ethical decisions, so that way we can have peace in the region for once. But the problem is, it's like the same thing we deal with the United States, Mike. If we keep electing the same exact people over and over again for the next 20 and 30 years, you know what you're going to get? The same exact results. This is why I try to keep pushing GWAT vets to go run for office and replace all these people, because we're done with it, man. The millennials and the Gen Z kids are done with it. Why do you keep re-electing people that just perpetuate war and destruction constantly nonstop? How are we going to raise our kids? How are we going to lower mortgage rates? That's what we're worried about here. But the people in Israel, the people in the Palestinian, claimed regions, and it's the same exact people again. We've been dealing with Netanyahu since I was 5 years old, right? We've been dealing with, King Abdullah II in Jordan since I was a kid, right? Well, if you keep electing these people and you keep allowing them to run the government, then of course you're going to get the same results. So if we want real change, then the younger generations need to step up, not just here in the United States, but also internationally, and make that actual change versus just bombing people all the time.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more, bro. I know it's 8:30. Is there anything else you want to add? 'Cause I know you gotta run out of here pretty soon.
Yeah, like I said,
Go
go to my website, adamdorito.com, if you want to see all the stuff I'm doing in DC. Follow me on Instagram, adam.dorito2010. There's a lot of things going in the background the next few months. I'm going to be very, very busy. But like I said, our mission is to get good, qualified veterans to run for office. And like I said, midterms are really important. We don't want to lose these seats. So all of you pay attention to that, and I'm sure we'll be able to talk about that much more in the future, Mike.
Awesome. Dude, absolutely fantastic. I cannot wait till you run for some type of office.
Don't put that on me, Ricky Bobby. Don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
I've been saying this for a long time. I think you'd make a great representative for the people. I know you don't want to do it. Just like the same thing with me, man. I think like I said, locally, people are looking at me saying, dude, we're relying on you to get us, a lot of people say that we're relying on you. And it's like, holy shit, what did I get myself into? And I don't want to run for any type of office. So I just want to get information.
It's got to be a call to service, though. I always tell politicians, if you want to run for office, you shouldn't run for office. If you don't want to run for office, then the people need to push you to run for office because you're the exact moral, ethical person we need, right? That's the decision that has to be made when it comes to that. But the problem is, if I ever got into office, I'd pull that scene out of like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where, Mac and Dennis steal Frank's credit card and get a limousine with a powdered wig and a tuxedo. And then I'm showing up in a monocle as well to bring it back to tradition, because it's all about tradition, Mike. And you can only speak in Old English with Old English insults. You know what I mean? But it's just, you got to understand, a lot of these people in Congress, especially the ones I've worked with over 15 years, are completely ineffective idiots. I have never met dumber people in my life. There's a couple good ones, don't get me wrong. There's a couple good ones. But I will say the reason why we have such bad politicians in Congress or even at the state level is because these are the people that are retired. They have nothing else better to do. This is a social club for them. And if you guys are young, taking care of your kids, and you're bitching about your taxes and your mortgage rates, everything else, you have the moral, ethical responsibility to step up and show to these meetings like Mike has done. I've seen him on video, because they're scared. They have once you show up to these meetings, like, oh my God, somebody's challenging me on things. Yeah, correct.
They have no idea what to do.
They have no idea what to do. So take them by force. You can easily get yourself up there. You've been running on a podcast or doing all these things for years. You're great at bitching about it, but you can't exactly perform the purge in this country. It's not legal, so you have to purge it yourself by running for office and making that sacrifice of your time, money, treasure to your family, and actually going out and doing those things. That's why I encourage every American to do, especially our veterans and our first responders, is you've already done the service, you've already hung up your uniform, but it's time to throw on a suit and go take care of it yourself. Because if we don't, we're going to lose this country, and then me and Mike are going to have to continue this podcast for another 10 years bitching about how much our government is not serving the people.
I definitely plan on being here bitching about how the government's not serving the people. If the government gets their shit together, I'm not going to have anything to talk about there.
I know. What a concept, right?
I want these people to be as dumb as possible. Let me tell you something. I fully agree with that. They are not as smart as everyone really does think they are.
Jasmine Crockett.
It drives me crazy. Yeah. Jasmine
Crockett. I was trying to find a hearing.
Every local mayor is dumb as shit if you ask me.
I was trying to find a hearing where she was in when I was walking through the halls of Congress, just so I could play like the smoke alarm, like dead battery chirp, like just sitting there in the back of the room, just so I could have people come after me for it. You know what I mean? But I mean, that's how dumb they are. I mean, when you have a selfie of yourself on your cell phone and you're spending more money on your eyelashes and your nails, but you don't know how the basic human services are working on in your own constituent representative area, you should not be serving in government. You shouldn't be.
Our representatives are making TikTok videos instead of voting on things the other day. I can't with these people. But hey, man, I really appreciate your time, Adam. Captain,
no problem.
Adam Dorito, man, check him out everywhere he is. And I love when you come on, bro. You come on and you are just a encyclopedia of world knowledge. I'm telling you.
Well, I'm heading out. I'm heading out to the UK here. I'll be gone for 3 weeks. I got meetings at Trump Doonberg in London, and then I'm going to go see Oasis in Dublin. And, more decisions will be made after that. So we'll talk when I get back in September, Mike.
Is that today is gonna be the
Yeah,
day
absolutely.
that
It's
we'll
fucking
never go
Wonderwall.
back
Yeah,
to
it's
you?
Wonderwall. And they have many other albums
By
other than that,
now,
Mike.
you should have somehow realized what you got to do. I don't know why you got me now. I don't
great.
believe that anybody feels the
Feels
way,
the way I
I
do
do about
about you
Dorito.
Thanks for bringing me
All
on the
right.
show, Mike. I will see you in September.
Dude, it's an absolute pleasure, man. Thank you. Hey, have a safe trip. Always. You always catch us. We always catch you as you're going to do some stuff. Last time
It's
you were jumping
nonstop.
out of a plane.
It's
Now you're going
nonstop.
to do this, bro. Have a safe trip again. Really appreciate you on the show. Later,
right.
bro.
Bye.
The gotta love Captain Adam Dorito. Awesome. Hey, we got a lot of people to chat here, man. Jay Calda, too much money to run for office. If you don't have financial backing, you lose. I mean, yeah, that's the truth. I just heard a story, Jay Calda, that the DNC is going to be injecting a couple $1 million into the campaign of Mikey Sherrill going up against Jack Ciattarelli. That's very interesting if that's the case, because that means the race is a lot closer than they want it to be, or they think it's going to be, because they usually never even have to put any money out for New Jersey. A Caldery says it's a business. No war. There will be recession. Bro, let's do brick. Yep, I am definitely doing brick, A Calderies. I'll tell you that much. Mama Duke, shut off your Wi-Fi, Jay Calda. Yankee 68. We have Yankee 68. Who was the first one in the chat? Yankee 68 was the first one in the chat. I know Jay Calda was trying to say, hey, let me know when your thing's live, and I'm going to beat Yankee 68 in the chat. And I told him, hey, it's live. Hey, it's live, Yankee 68. You still whooped him to the chat. Congratulations, Jersey Abe 69. Jersey Abe, we have our first hearing of Free the Homies. Make sure you keep us with it. Keep us in your prayers. Let's take a quick little thing for that, guys. We definitely have Free the Homies t-shirts going out. Yes, Free the Homies. We have our first court hearing for harassment, I guess you could say, tomorrow. All of us have to be on a virtual call with what are you gonna say, with the state of New Jersey, I guess. Yeah, one of those guys. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Let's get to some in-depth breakdowns.
In-depth breakdowns.
All right, I have this. It's like 7 minutes. I pulled this up before I had a confirmation from Matt. Well, before I remembered I had a confirmation with Captain Adam Dorito. But this is Senator Josh Hawley. I want you to listen to a little bit of this. I don't know if we're going to play the full 7 minutes of it now, but this is Josh Hawley here.
How much do you have approximately?
Between 14 and 15 million.
And let me just preface this really quick. This is Josh Hawley with the people from 23andMe, or the guy from 23andMe. Now, 23andMe, if you didn't know, and this is one of the reasons I've always railed against that, just sending these companies like DNA kits. Here, take my DNA, and who knows what the hell you're going to do with it. But they say you could delete it, but do they ever really delete it? You don't even know if they're going to do it. They say they will, but they probably don't. But now here they are. They're selling people's DNA, and they're selling people's data. But don't worry. It's going to be a big pharma company that's doing it. Check this out.
Million customers.
Between 14 and 15 million. I think you told Senator Britt just a minute ago that a goodly number of those are minors. Is that correct?
What I said was I don't have the number of customers.
You have the genetic data of a good many minors. Is that correct?
We have genetic data for a particular number of minors, and I will be happy to provide.
People under the age of 18. Is that correct?
That is how I'm defining a minor.
So they give your customers, I just want to make sure I understand your business model. Your customers give you their genetic information for you to run various tests on. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
And
do you hear the way this guy's answering questions? I mean, it's like, hey, listen, you guys are doing this, correct?
Yeah. Yes, that is correct. We keep the information, the genetic information, but we don't keep the.
He reminds me of the lawyer from My Cousin Vinny when he was like, Mr. Tipton, Mr. Tipton. Let's listen to more of this guy.
I mean, that's pretty sensitive stuff, isn't it? Somebody's genetic information. Is there anything more personal than that?
I would agree with you, Senator, that genetic data is sensitive information.
And so now you're just going to sell all of it? 15 million people,
yes,
bunches of kids, maybe millions.
Yes.
It's just going to be sold in the open
story.
market.
Senator, the good news, as I mentioned, is that the two bidders or buyers for the company, one is Regeneron, which is
That's the big pharma company.
It
doesn't make me feel any better.
Yay! A big pharma company. Yay! Terrific. So the people that are going to be buying it are the people that have been poisoning everybody for a while. Regeneron, I think, was actually a pretty decent product. So I'm not going to say that was poisoning people. But big pharma, I mean, yeah, don't you just trust them with every single person's genetic code? Tell me, this is the part I think Holly missed. I think they already have not everybody's DNA, but you have so much DNA. What's to stop these people from taking every time they take a blood test, they run your DNA and your DNA gene sequence without even you knowing it? Do you even know if they're actually even doing that? I don't know.
As a large pharmaceutical company.
All right, so you're gonna take 15 million Americans' genetic information and you're gonna sell it to somebody. And your message to us is today: trust us, it'll be fine. Maybe it's a big pharma company. Maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe they'll treat it right. I thought your privacy code, your privacy commitment said that consumers had a right not to have their information shared with anybody else without their consent.
Holly does.
I mean, I've got your privacy statement right here. It says that without their consent, you can't share their information. You're about to sell it.
Senator, that consent is, essentially for,
not real.
Not share for research purposes, and we are not selling it for research purposes.
So when you tell the consumer, give us your personal information and we'll take money from you, and we won't give it to anybody without your consent, it's not real. It just means, maybe kind of depends on the day.
Senator, I will say that our customers' data is their own. They have the right at all times to access that information. They can edit it.
Well, sure they can.
So let me ask you a question really quick. If you knew and you were a customer and you knew you were handing your DNA to that guy, there's a reason why he's not the face of the company. It's amazing. But would you hand your DNA to that guy? You wouldn't hand it to him if he was sitting on the street corner going, "Hey, let me swab your cheek. I swear I'll take your DNA and I'll figure out what's wrong with you." Yeah, he's fucking all sounding like the Penguin and shit.
But you're about to sell it to who knows who. They can't control it. You said to Senator Moody that consumers have complete control of their data. Complete. How can they have complete control if you're about to sell it without their consent?
Senator, they can delete that data anytime up until the sale and after.
Oh, okay. They can delete the data. Have you fixed the ability of customers to go on your website and delete it? Because right after you announced your sale, your deletion page went down. I hold in my hand here an article from the Wall Street Journal. 23andMe site goes down as customers struggle to delete their data. Can they even get onto your site to delete their data?
They can, Senator. And
you fixed this?
That was an issue that, yes, we fixed immediately after.
It's up and running now? Customers can go on?
Customers can go on and they can delete their data.
What happens when they go onto your site to delete their data?
When a customer logs into their account at 23andMe, they go to their settings page, and there's a section there where just click delete my data. It confirms that they want to delete their data, and it's deleted automatically.
So how do you know if this guy's lying? So let's just depict this really fast. This is going to be helpful for everybody. How to know when someone's lying to you is when they give you irrelevant information to start off. They're searching for something, right? So it's like, well, and they repeat the question back to you. Well, in order to delete your stuff, and then they give that from 23andMe. It's like, real quick, what do I have to think of? All they're doing is delaying. They're delaying. What can I think of? I could say this. Oh, shit, I got to think of something. Oh, yeah. Then you go to the settings page. Then it's really deleted. I promise you. I swear to God. It's super deleted. Listen to me right now. I promise you right now, Mr. Hawley, that it is deleted. Then Senator Hawley goes, okay. Yeah, what about this in your policy?
Automatically.
Is that true? Let's take a look.
Okay.
When they go onto your page, they get an opportunity. It says permanently delete the data. So they click the button that says permanently delete the data, and then they get a notification that says your account is no longer accessible. How do they know if they can't access their account anymore? How do they know their data's been deleted?
Because we send them a notification that their information has been deleted.
You send it once, and how long does that take?
Our policy state that, we will delete their data within 30 days. And in most cases, it is automatic and happens much quickly.
And when you delete it, it's deleted. It's gone forever.
All the genetic data is deleted forever. And yes.
Really? Because that's not what your privacy statement says in the fine print. Let's read it.
Watch this.
What your statement says is, we retain personal information for as long as necessary to provide the services and fill the transactions you've requested, to comply with our legal obligations, resolve disputes, enforce agreements, et cetera, et cetera. And then it goes on, 23andMe and or our contracted genotyping laboratory will retain your genetic information even if you choose to delete your account.
Senator, 23andMe, it does not retain any genetic information regarding the consumer once they delete their account. We do.
It says right here that you will retain genetic information, including date of birth and sex, even if you choose to delete your account. This is your privacy policy. I'm just quoting from it.
Senator, to the best of my knowledge, we do not maintain any genetic information.
It says even if you choose to delete your account, we will retain. We will retain.
We will retain. This is what your policy says. This is why you never trust these big, giant, stupid companies. This is why you do it. And all these, there's so many people that have just given them all your data. I don't know if anybody realizes how much you're worth. Do you have any idea how much money you're worth to these people? Your data. Now if they have your genetic code, if they have your specific genetic code with this mRNA type technology, you're telling me they can't figure out something to give you to fuck you up? I don't know, man. Do we really want the medical industry? I don't care how much good it could do. For every bit of good, we have to weigh the possibility of bad. And I'm not going to trust human beings to do anything that involves bad or that could go both ways. Because if they could do very bad with it, they're going to be doing very bad with it. I don't know, but that's Senator Hawley. Listen, I found that completely fascinating today. I found it fascinating because, this is an issue that we're dealing with. Technology is going way faster than I think anybody even realizes. And something that seems really mundane and, hey, just give us your DNA and we will tell you where you're from. And we'll tell you with all this stuff. Let's take all the crazy stories out of it, right? People going out there thinking they're Italian, finding out they're Chinese or Jewish or some shit like that, right? Let's take all those crazy stories out of it. The stories of finding out that your grandmother was really cheating on your grandfather and your dad's, all these crazy ass stories. Let's just take them and remove them because we know how many families that 23andMe and Ancestry.com has destroyed. Let's just take all that out of it. Let's take all that. Everyone, it sounded like a really cool concept. Give us your data, give us your gene code, give us all that stuff, and we will tell you this. But then nobody was thinking, well, you know what? If you have this and our technology gets to the point where you can literally clone a person or you can do any number of crazy ass things, that's the potential we're talking about here. And then they're able to take all the stuff that you paid them to take to provide a service, and then they could take all of your information and just sell it to somebody else like they own you. Because if they own your DNA code, and they've broken it all down, they basically own all your genetic data. And now that we're contemplating and we think it's okay that millions of people's data is going into the hands of some big pharmacological company that was just involved in Regeneron. I got to imagine that's the same Regeneron that they were talking about with COVID. I don't know. Do we really trust any of these companies that were involved with anything COVID to have your DNA? I think that's kind of insane, but what are you going to do? I'm going to move on from that. Let's see if anybody has anything in the chat about that. Yankee68 says, a chance I took for a positive outcome, and I got that. Jay Caldas says, if his lips are moving, he is lying. 100%. Or people's lips are moving. They're, especially those guys. They are definitely lying. Let's get some Beto in here. Let's listen to this idiot. Have you ever heard of Beto O'Rourke? Beto O'Rourke. So if you notice, the Texas Democrats, they still are not in town. They're still left. Governor Adams, I have some stills about that, but Adams is talking about just staying in session forever, and it's how ridiculous is it that a group of lawmakers that are supposed to believe in some type of capitalist system are just going out and saying, no, fuck your capitalism. We're not going to even vote. We're not going to take part in this. We're going to delay. We're going to do everything in our power to stop something that we've been doing for years. This is Beto.
He is trying to stop us from raising the resources they need to ultimately prevail and come through, and we are not going to let him stop us. Are you with me on that? Andale. It also means, as Mark was saying earlier, we don't await the punch thrown by these would-be fascists to land. We punch first, and we punch harder. We want California and New Jersey and Illinois and Maryland and every other state where the Democrats hold the governor's mansion, the assembly, and the state senate to redraw their congressional districts now, not wait for Texas to move first, to maximize Democratic Party advantage. Listen, you may say to yourself, well, those aren't the rules. There are no refs in this game. Fuck the rules. We are going to win whatever it takes. We're going to take this to them in every way that we can.
Fuck the rules. I mean, this is what they're saying out loud. This idiot's saying this stuff out loud. We know that they've been fucking the rules for how long? They've been fucking the rules more than Ron Jeremy has fucked pornos. But I'm digressing here. And it's funny that he brings up New Jersey and Illinois, places that have been redistricting for years. New Jersey just redistricted. Trump got 44% of the vote in New Jersey. Yet the majority of our legislature, the far majority of our legislature, are all Democrats. The far majority of our representatives that go to college, that go to Congress, are Democrats. Our senators are Democrats. We have all one-party rule because of gerrymandering, because of the way they've been doing this stuff. And it's hysterical, though, to watch these people act like they haven't been doing the things that they've been doing for year after year after year. When you look at the amount of counties that Donald Trump won over Joe Biden, I think Joe Biden was down to 400 counties or something like that. Trump has 2,800 counties, and we have a dead even Congress? How does that work out? The only way that works out is by certain areas gerrymandering the shit out of their areas so they can get the most council people and the most seats. I don't know. This doesn't seem like rocket science to me. Seems like something that's pretty freaking basic. But listen, we're gonna be fighting this little this. This is what the Democrats do, if you haven't noticed. And I know everybody that has watched me, you notice this over and over and over again. The Democrats are going to accuse you nonstop of doing exactly what they've been doing, and they're going to make a big deal over you doing exactly what they've been doing for years, because the Republicans have never got on them for all the gerrymandering that they have done. They have never got on them for it. They've never called them out on it. But the Democrats, no matter what they do, Epstein files, they jump on that. Well, you didn't call out the Epstein files, but we're calling you out for it. The Democrats make a big deal over everything. And it's time for the right to kind of follow that suit. You know what? We really don't have time to get into this evolution. We don't have time to get into the evolution discussion. I'm going to tell you that much. I have some stuff on Trump. I have some stuff on Tulsi. Let's see. Let's go through some headlines really quick for the last 3 minutes. Do we have any comments? So Massachusetts, Trump got 40% of the vote, Jay Calda says, but they have no Republican in Congress or the Senate. And that's the point we're talking about, right? And that same idiot that said we're going to go into your home and take your guns. Exactly. That's the same idiot that said he's going to go into our homes and take our guns. Let's check this out. The UFC has agreed to a 7-year, $7.7 billion exclusive media rights agreement with Paramount, effectively ending the pay-per-view model. That's a huge deal. And apparently Paramount Plus isn't raising the rates on it or anything like that. It's just going to be included. That is great for the UFC. Here's a couple. Ghislaine Maxwell tried to offer the Biden's team damaging intel on Trump during the lead up of 2024 due to the fellow prison inmate alleges. I call bullshit on that fellow prison inmate. If the Biden administration had any chance to get anything on Trump, We all saw what they were doing. They were going scorched earth. They were trying to throw any bit of shit at the wall and hoping it stuck, and none of it stuck. And President Trump says he may seize control of Chicago and other major cities because the leaders are incompetent. I hit that up in the Mike's Right section on that here. Break it. Supreme Court is set to hear a case this year that could potentially overturn the legalization of same-sex marriage. This is something, once again, the fact that the Supreme Court can make this type of decision is one of the things that I spoke about early. I really don't care about same-sex marriage, especially when opposite-sex marriage has destroyed marriage. Let's not pretend that it's some holy institution anymore. Let's not pretend that we actually give a shit about marriage in today's world. We don't. We don't care about it. So I don't really care if let's let anybody fuck up marriage. You know who seems to be the best at marriage? If you go by the numbers, gay men. Gay men seem like they're the best at marriage because they have the lowest divorce rates. Then you have men and women, and then you have women and women. And women, surprise, surprise, have the highest divorce rates. That's not a lie. So if you're going to sit there and say that there's a gay couple, that a group of people that are gay that have a better chance of marriage than any other people, I don't see why anybody's taken it away from them. And now, once again, do you want to make that state to state? Do we think marriage is a state-to-state type decision? I don't know. You put that in the chat. I don't. It's going to be very interesting. The Democrats are hoping Gavin Newsom will become president and bring payback for all that President Trump has done. This one I found mildly amusing because I love how the Democrats and the left says payback. Oh, he's going to give payback. We're going to give payback. And then all of a sudden, what happens? They make a big deal, if you remember, about Trump and payback. Oh, when you get in office, are you going to do nothing but payback and go after the people that were going after you? And they tried making a big deal out of that during the campaign. But now all of a sudden, that was so horrible when Trump was doing it. Now, no, it's okay because we want Gavin Newsom to go elicit some payback. Something tells me, guys, if you don't think Gavin Newsom is a serious contender, I've been saying this for a long time. He is a 100% serious contender on this. Let's see. What else do we have? I didn't have the time to get everything 100% squared away here. So we have to do a couple things. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Jonathan Turley. This is Jonathan Turley on Beto O'Rourke. He said, Beto O'Rourke clearly believes the combination of profanity and illegality is just a ticket for the Democrats in 2026. Fuck the rules. We're going to win whatever it takes. After ruling against them in court, he seems to have dispensed with democracy in favor of anarchy. Very interesting. I got to tell you, very interesting out of that guy. Chinese-made opioid deadlier than fentanyl is now killing young Americans. It's called, oh man, he can't even say any of these things. It's Natanzines are sold by China-based chemical suppliers through online marketplaces. A class of synthetic opioids called Natanzines, made in secret laboratories, are set 43 times stronger than fentanyl. 43 times stronger than fentanyl. Listen, guys, I thought fentanyl was enough, right? At what point are we going to allow people to make these type of drugs that could just wipe everybody off? With the powder of it could kill people. You get powder of that up into the air, you can start killing a lot of people. I don't know. Very interesting. I don't understand why we let anybody in China make these type of illicit drugs. I don't know why any of the world trades with them making these type of drugs. I get fentanyls in almost everything. It's in your epidurals. It's in your anesthesia, from what I'm understanding. But still, that's approved medical use, I guess. These unapproved medical uses are absolutely killing people, and I don't know. I think it's got to stop. And finally, the new unusual agreement of the U.S. will get a 15% cut in NVIDIA and AMD chip sales to China. Trump apparently was going for 20%. And I love when Trump does that shit. He does that one up. No, I'm going to go for this. 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 Let's see if we have one more. Trump says he'll know if Putin wants peace in probably the first 2 minutes of their meeting. I buy that with him. I definitely think so. He knows if they're going to want peace or not. But what are you going to do, man? Yankee 68 says, I care less. It's all about insurance and benefits. Jake Callis says, fact, 82% of all marriages fail because women wanting divorce And yeah, I mean, that's the truth. Like, I don't know if anybody cares. I don't care. I don't care what you do with your life. I don't care. The only problem, but you know what's interesting about Yankee 68? The interesting thing about it was when I worked at Staples back in the day, my wife and I aren't technically married, right? So when we were when I was trying to get my whole family and her on our insurance program, it didn't matter that we were partners. She could not be on it because we weren't technically married. But now, if I was a gay dude and I had a gay partner, that partner would have been able to be on my same exact plan. So I couldn't have a female partner be on it. I could only have a male partner be on my plan. It was very interesting the way that the way that all worked out. But what are you going to do? But hey, guys, I really appreciate you tonight. I have a lot going on. Honestly, it's incredible the amount of response I have from the local stuff that we're doing. The one video, like I said, is almost 30,000 views. It's absolutely incredible. And every day it's going up by the thousands. Like I released it 2 or 3 days ago, and every day it's another 2, another 3, another 4,000. It's been crazy. TikToks are going great. If you guys can get on and check me out anywhere, it's Center Cut Media everywhere. Check us out. It's Center Cut Media. Sometimes it's one word. Sometimes you have to put the space in between them. I know Rumble, it is one word. Get this out here. Share it for me. I really appreciate every one of you guys. Yankee 68, Jersey Abe, and A. Calderis, and every one of you guys that have been my family members for years. I love you guys. Really appreciate you. Remember, it's very important you start becoming caltrops. It is very important that you become a caltrop and be a caltrop in your own town. These people, like you hear at Adam Dorito and you hear anybody that gets involved, the second you get involved, you start deflecting the bullshit and you start seeing exactly how inadequate these people are at anything that they're doing. They can't explain anything they're doing. They're figureheads. Nobody has a damn clue. And that's something you really realize when you become a caltrop in your own mind. Thank you guys for listen. Thank you guys for I can't even get that out of my mouth. Thank you guys very much for being with me tonight. I really appreciate you guys. Remember, figure the fuck out of my like button. This caltrop is out.